Testing. Testing 1, 2. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to a podcast called Barrel Full of Daryl. That's me, Daryl. And I'm the guy that discusses music, movies, and throw in a little bit of other stuff too. I'd like to give a shout out to some of my constant listeners. Kenzie, Megan, Lisa, Ian, Adam, Dustin, Madison, Electric Iguana, and finally Joe Rogan. I wish. If you want to be one of my shout outs and I don't know you, please send me a comment and be happy to do it for you. Just let me know who you are. Now, you may recall in the last episode, kind of dissed the band AC/DC. And afterward, Kenzie sent me a text, kind of poked at me a little bit. He asked about the AC/DC snub, and I replied, I'm not much of a fan, and that they are the pap of rock music. To which he responded, he said, wow, I am thunderstruck by that reply. I'm not their biggest fan, but I'll go to bat for them. He continues, not entirely sure what you mean by pap, like they're a one-band test if someone will like rock and roll. I could buy that. Or did you mean they are a distillation into the most basic raw ingredients that make up rock music? Because I can buy that also. And I do agree that they are consistent. But since when is consistency a bad thing? Unless you meant consistently badass. And he continues, however, I must object to the notion that you, as a music aficionado, a veritable authority for a worldwide audience of those about to rock, that you don't recognize them as a foundational element of the genre. Who's next? ZZ Top? Say it ain't so. AC/DC rocks so hard they're honorary Americans. They get played at every 4th of July, every sporting event, practically every time a bomb gets dropped somewhere. They are a band of the people. They have countless instantly recognizable guitar riffs, which beget some of the most universal and timeless rock anthems of all time. They've overcome adversity with the death of Bon Scott, only to rise from the ashes again with Brian Johnson, both of whom are among the dirtiest and most powerful voices in all of rock and roll. And he continues, they may not be a thinking man's band. They're not the champagne of rock and roll. Maybe that makes them easy targets in today's world of abundance. But for those who enjoy the simple things in life, they are all of the basic food groups, meat, potatoes, and beer. I implore you, good sir, go to any bar, drop a coin in the jukebox, and simply watch as the opening riffs hits. Feet will tap, heads will nod, devil horns will appear. And if the volume is up sufficiently, motorcycles will instantly arrive and a proper bar fight might break out. That's the end of what he sent me. So, Kenzie, firstly, thanks for providing me with this discussion about AC/DC. Secondly, I use the word pap to mean soft or bland food for infants and elders, meaning that their first two albums were good, but then they became redundant, as would Pap. Thirdly, you should consider being a writer. That was so well written, blew me away. And fourthly, Kenzie made some really good points, and I agree with him. They have their place in rock and roll. So, if you're unfamiliar with AC/DC, I'm going to throw some of their songs on the playlist. Thanks again, Kenzie. Okay, now it's time for a little word from our sponsor.
Well, howdy, y'all. This is Clay Calhoun, and you might remember me as the owner and the sole employee of the Calhoun Funeral Home and Taxidermy Service here in Scratch Ankle, Alabama. Well, at least I am for now. You see, I may have made a teeny-weeny mistake, because Doc McDonald called me up the other day and said he needs to drop by and pronounce the death of Henry Ray Cratchit before I cremated him. Otherwise, he couldn't write up a death certificate. Well, seeing how Henry Ray was already sitting in an urn sitting on my shelf, my stomach lurched up into my throat, and my mind started reeling. I reckon the excitement of having a body to cremate clouded my thinking, and I acted a little quickly. But I went ahead and told the doc to drop by the next day. So I shuttered the funeral home, and I'm hiding out in the Jimmy Reed $10 a day motel in Monroeville. And it looks like I'm gonna have to head down to Pensacola and hold up with my cousin Clarence for a while. So odds are you won't be hearing from me again, but it's been real nice talking to you. Crap, I hope anybody down here ain't listening to this podcast. We all take care now.
And we're back. So today's movie, I think I'll talk about the film called This Is Spinal Tap. It's a mockumentary released in 1984, directed by Rob Reiner. It's about a heavy metal band named Spinal Tap, and it stars Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer, who are the three members of the band. This movie is hilarious. It satirizes the behavior and musical pretensions of rock bands. It was written by Rob Reiner and the three actors. Now, you may recall I previously discussed the film Best in Show, which was also a mockumentary written by Christopher Guest. Now, This Is Spinal Tap is credited with launching the mockumentary genre, and it has been deemed as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress. There's a sequel titled Spinal Tap 2: The End Continues. That's a great title. It had a limited theatrical release, and it's currently streaming, but not broadly. So, in this movie, Rob Reiner plays a filmmaker, Marty DeBurgi, and he is making a documentary about Spinal Tap's 1982 U.S. concert tour to promote their new album called Smell the Glove. And one thing's funny in this movie, they discuss they've had bad experience with odd deaths of previous drummers. John Stumpy Pepys died in a bizarre gardening accident that is yet to be solved. Eric Stumpy Joe Childs died choking on someone else's vomit. and Peter James Bond explode on stage. It's good stuff. The guitar amplifier has knobs that instead of going up to 10, they go to 11, which makes it one louder than most other amplifiers. And the director of the documentary asked the guitarist, well, it's really only 10, right? And he looks at him and he says, these go to 11. And that's the origin of the phrase up to 11. During the tour, tensions rise due to canceled shows, due to low ticket sales, and record retailers refuse to sell the album due to its sexist cover art. So, unbeknownst to the band, the record label changes the cover art to solid black, but the album still does not sell. By the way, that's kind of a nod to the Beatles with their White Album. Another odd nod to the Beatles is when one of the girlfriends of the band begins to attend the band meetings and has ideas for their costumes and stage presentation. This kind of parallels with John Lennon's girlfriend / wife, Yoko Ono, sitting in on the Beatles studio sessions, which apparently contributed to their breakup. So then the band decides to stage a lavish, Druid-themed glam rock show, and they order a Stonehenge trilithon, which is a large structure with 2 vertical stone columns and a horizontal stone placed across the top, as you may have seen in Stonehenge. Well, hilariously, they mislabeled the dimensions on their drawing, on their design, and they end up with an 18-inch high model instead of 18 feet high, which makes them a laughingstock. The tour continues, but at much smaller venues, such as an Air Force base and as an opener for a puppet show. Yeah. Other calamities continue, and the band basically falls apart. After learning that one of their songs is big in Japan, they decide to tour there instead. And during the last US performance, the drummer explodes on stage. So this movie is hilarious. The casting's great. The comedy timing is perfect. And it has a huge cult following. Well, sadly, it's not streaming for free, but you can rent it on Prime for the price of gas station boiled peanuts and a diet soda. Okay. Word of the week. Stertor. 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 And it's the scientific word for snoring. Primary snoring is snoring without any associated medical conditions, and primary snoring is benign. However, snoring may also indicate medical conditions such as apnea or hypoventilation, also called respiratory depression. And hypoventilation causes an increased concentration of carbon dioxide and has several causes, including drugs like opioids that result in overdose. Stertor. Snoring. Joke of the week. The Native American chief gathers his tribe together and says, "My people, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is white man has killed off all the buffalo, leaving us with only buffalo shit to eat. The good news is there's plenty of it. I hope you like that one. Question of the week. So last week I asked, what is a mass extinction, and historically, how many have there been on planet Earth? Well, mass extinction basically is exactly what it sounds like. It's a huge extinction of plant and animal life. The first one, there have been 5. The first one is the end Ordovician. It was 440 million years ago. It's the second largest mass extinction. It killed off 85% of all species on Earth. And the second one was late Devonian, and that was 360 million years ago. It caused anoxia with rapid and severe global cooling, and 75% of all species at that time were killed off. The third one is the end Permian, 250 million years ago. There was intense volcanic activity in Siberia, which resulted in global warming, acidification of oceans, acid rains, and 96% of all species on Earth were killed off. Fourthly, we have the end Triassic, 200 million years ago. And this is caused by underwater volcanic activity in the central Atlantic. It was global warming with a drastic change in the ocean chemical composition, and 80% of all species were killed. And the fifth one is the end Cretaceous, and it was 65 million years ago, caused by an asteroid impact in the Yucatan. It was global cataclysmic rapid cooling, and 76% of all species were killed, including the dinosaurs. So we are actually currently in the middle of not the middle of, but we are in the 6th extinction, which is currently ongoing. It's called the Holocene extinction, and it's caused exclusively by human activities. It affects numerous plant life, fish, mammals, etc. Kind of everything. It's a loss of biodiversity. Current extinction rates are 1,000 times higher than natural rates. In the 20th century, human population quadrupled and the global economy increased 25-fold. So basically, humans are global super predators. Now, there's a buttload of information on this extinction, which we are in the midst of, if you care to read more about it. New question of the week. Are there really 7 continents on Earth? That's a good question, and we'll talk about that next time. Thought of the week. Ships are safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are for. Kind of deep, huh? I like it. Please don't forget about the playlist, Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. It's, like I said before, I just put it on shuffle and let it go, and it's great music. Also, don't forget you can contact me. Click on the send me a text button in the episode, or directly at bfodpodcast@gmail.com. Be glad to hear from you. By the way, don't forget that this podcast, you can support it if you love it. Make a small monthly contribution. And with your donations, I could probably buy anything from gas station hot dog to maybe even a couple of gallons of gas. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you were entertained. Talk to you later. Bye.